And good. So what you were saying about your where you're from, how you got started in film?
Yeah. I'm from Philadelphia, but I, at the age of 8, moved to St. Thomas, Virgin Islands, where I grew up till about 16. So I think
Okay.
of myself, I feel more like I'm orientated as St. Thomas.
Hmm.
But we moved to Atlanta the last 2 years of high school. While getting registered for class, I accidentally, well, not accident, the guy sitting next to me said, "Hey, if you get in performing arts, you get out of class early." I didn't know the school had a performing arts division, but I was like, "Get out of class early, sign me up. Where do
Oh
I
my
go?"
God.
So I got on the lighting crew at 11th grade in high school at Northside School of the Arts, and that is literally all I've done since then. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So I went to Howard undergraduate for theater lighting because I figured
All right.
you, right?
You know.
So you know. So I went to Howard undergraduate theater lighting, and I thought I was going to go to New York and do theater and Broadway and that kind of lighting.
Hmm.
Went to NYU for grad school.
Hmm.
Um, I did a year of that and then started freelancing, working in the theater. That was great. And then I got into film because I was working in the theater regular, but the money wasn't sufficient at the time. I was married by then, and my son was born or was on the way. No, married? Yeah, he was already born,
Hmm.
and so I started doing film as well. Early on, my first job in the film business was with Spike Lee, and I mean, I just the other day was telling somebody about this, and I just realized how fortunate that is. And it was at a time when he was hot already and still young and growing.
Hmm.
So, like, I just finished a commercial with him last week here in LA.
Hmm.
So I realized it's 31 years with him, right? Not every show, not every year, but the first 10 years was full on. I dare say everything he did for the first 10 years, from 89 to 99, thereabouts, in some manner, you know, everything. And then everything for a long time. At one point, I moved to Atlanta, and even when he was shooting films while I lived in Atlanta, I would come back and do time on them. On He Got Game, on so stuff like that. So I would still come back and forth. And when they come to Atlanta, and so that relationship has continued in various ways, but always working in lighting.
Wow.
I never stopped doing dance lighting and theater lighting for the first, 20 years once I got in film. So up until about 10 years ago, I'm still doing a little bit of that.
Hmm.
The choreographer, Kevin Aiega Jeff, was a big brother who was literally just said, okay, here, it's your area. So we toured the country and several other countries, Europe and Canada and as well. And he definitely, is a mentor in that way. I think that having a formal mentorship is a good thing, and I wish I did, and I still wish I could. If I, because it's the same thing, but it's a more concentrated, more focused effort
Okay.
to do that.
Okay. And
Yeah.
what is the process of lighting live events?
It's very different. The live events thing is much more like theater. It's much more like concerts and things in terms of what you're you're on a technical level. You have to make a choice with the light, and it's just there, and it can't move, and it can't do a whole different to that room upstairs and to that outside location. And so your choices are more committed. It's more of being an it's more like you are sequencing in advance in your head. Whereas on film, you get a bunch of different tools and you have some feelings, and these tools may or may not, and you kind of mix it on the day. The feedback it's tremendous. It's tremendous. It's like being in the boxing ring and you hear all the people cheering. It's that kind of energy that's just beautiful. But then on the film game, what's really so great about it is it's a high wire act like no other. Like you don't really know the end result. and you're not even going to get close to your choices until like that hour that you're setting up for that shot that's coming up right now.
As far as the software, equipment, tools that you are using on an everyday basis when you go on a set or on a live event or what have you. So your typical day, you're going to XYZ.
Sure, sure. Well, now, I've been in the business for a while now, so I'm not doing much in the way of tools other than meters. With the DIT and proper monitor setup, that's 98% of what we're recording. The raw image is already built in where there's so much information going in. You don't even want that. It's incredible. So even on set, we look at uh, typically we look at an image with a what we call a LUT, a lookup table on it. Basically, just means a set of dials and controls to kind of make it look the way we imagine, make it look nice or whatever. So I'm looking at the LUT, and it's wonderful compared, and it's like I said, I'll just roughly say it's a 98% representation of what we're actually recording. Um, Software, we do a little bit of drafting in CAD. I typically go back and forth between Vectorworks for more complicated stuff. So challenges, obstacles, things. Yeah, when I was doing theater and decided I needed to do film, one challenge was about, okay, I'm doing this other thing. Do I work in the film business as an electrician or as a gaffer? Or because coming from the theater, I was the quote unquote department head. I was the lighting designer, right? And then I'm moving over to film where I'm the electrician carrying the lights. I wanted people to say Christian gaffer. So as soon as they start saying that, I am that. So I suggest people really consider, a lot of people in our industry are moving from one position to another over time. And in those early years, you got to decide. I think personally, it worked well for me. You choose the route where people are packaging your name in the job you want. So I would rather be the gaffer on a small, no budget, independent, don't have much, and then work towards bigger projects. To be an electrician on big projects, and then become a best boy on big projects, and then become a gaffer on big. Because to me, this was the small independent route was better for me because whatever I am. This also has advantages because it's things you learn from people who are further ahead, who are masters, who there are bigger budgets. There's more variety of exposure to different types of shooting and all of that. So influential. The 90s were hot for music videos. Oh, Hype Williams, what? Puffy, the entire Bronx, all through the 90s, it was happening. It was a great end for many, many black people because we didn't have the relationships to be in the union and to work on, established big budget sort of studio projects and network projects.
How important is that skill or experience in proper lighting techniques to like capture African Americans on screen?
The challenge really is not about how to light black people. The challenge is, are you paying attention to the subjects? Much of the film industry is shaped for many, many years only around lighting white people. The economics of it meant that white DPs were being hired. White DPs had access to the equipment, which is very expensive, right? And white DPs had the relationships with the producers who were greenlighting these projects and who were doing the hiring, and the directors who were doing these hirings, who were working together and who were in the same neighborhood, and. And now you have the reality that, oh, it's a subject matter that white society is now paying attention to because they are now experiencing our culture on a broader basis. So now you have people viewing each other with more care and more concern and more understanding. Nowadays, do not get a job that will distract you from your career.
Wow.
The day that the that the new DP, director, producer, client opportunity shows up, you want to be able to say yes.
That's right.
Diaspora. Lightscameradiaspora.org. That's a little plug.
Lightscameradiaspora.org.
Yes. That turned into this nonprofit that is now involved in equipment, early stage, in equipment distribution. We've been doing training in 7 or 8 countries by now. Then that turned into relationships in South Africa, and it has opened up so many worlds because I said yes to the idea. And I have no idea how it was going to work out. I just started. And so one of my big things is say yes to the things that you want to do and figure out the problems later. It's nobody gets off easy. So you might as well take your punches in the ring that you want to be in. Yeah, Queen Sono. It's Netflix's first production in Africa.
Oh, okay.
The others they bought content that's already done. This is an original production that they are, hand in glove with the local production company. Lovecraft Country on HBO Showmax is where it's airing, and we shot that in Chicago last summer, and that is starring Journey Smollett, Jonathan Majors, who's a phenomenal recent new talent, new-ish, talent that people should watch out for. Just amazing, and Courtney Vance, a long time phenomenal talent.
And I wish you the best of luck. Much success.
Thanks for having me.